So hello and welcome back to Tianjin in China with our live coverage of the United Nations Climate Talks here. I'm delighted to be joined by the head of the Indonesian delegation, Professor Rachmat Witoelar, and I'm hoping that you'll be able to give me an update on the progress of the talks here.
I'll be glad to. Thank you, Adam.
What's happened so far this week?
Well, actually, it is still below expectations, but I don't think we should to put too much pessimism into this. I'm still hoping that something will come up, which will give us material for Cancun to develop further and further.
So where are the sticking points for these talks? Where are the problems, and which areas are we seeing progress in?
Well, the sticking problems is the major developed countries, the developed country, so to say, is a bit tough in negotiating. It does not want to yield, and certainly the major developing countries also are behaving likewise. So it is business as usual, but we have a better atmosphere than in Copenhagen. So that is one source of optimism. We hope that we can gain something and use it to enliven, to make it in Cancun, to make a better show in Cancun.
So you say the attitude of the major developed countries is a problem. What needs to change? What in their policies or their approach needs to change?
Demanded by, for one example, the United States to comply with the Bali Action Plan, because it is imposed upon the developed countries to have deep cuts, and they have not produced it. So it gives a wrong impression on the others that it's not playing really serious about it, and that is a sticking point. But in this aspect, as Indonesia understands position, we're still hoping that preceding Cancun, something will happen.
And you said that we're working on some progress for issues for Cancun, and I know that adaptation and technology transfer amongst those are. What hopes do you hold for Cancun?
Well, I'm happy to see that in terms of the adaptation programs of the fast track financing, transfer of technology, REDD, people are moving on. Yeah, so we hope to be able to wrap it up in Cancun, and that is, although it won't be a legally binding global agreement, it is a very good result.
And Indonesia, what are the big issues for you here? What are your main interests in these talks? I think it's something that many of our viewers won't be aware of. What are your main interests?
First of all, of course, like other developing countries, we try to ensure that our vulnerable groups of people within our countries are giving the ability to withstand the climate change threats, and that is the adaptation programs, and it has been responded to by almost everybody, because it is realized that if the adaptation programs for the vulnerable countries is not met, then all these talks are nonsensical, and I'm very happy that this is being addressed too. The second is that the technology transfer also is in the pipeline, and of course, in particular of Indonesia, the REDD Plus is also appreciated, that it will give benefit to the world.
So it's the RED Plus is the forestry component of the talks.
Yes.
So just you mentioned that your priority is to adapt to the impacts of climate change. Yes. What kinds of impacts are being witnessed in Indonesia?
Well, it is very bad, because the coastal people are now practically out of jobs, because the raise of the level of the sea, and there are no atypical storms in the tropics, which we have not experienced. The shifting of the planting seasons, and just recently, even in Jakarta, one of the major metropolises, a road has been demolished because of the intrusion of the sea into the lands.
And do you have any kind of conception of how many people are being impacted by this and the cost? Is Indonesia managing to cope?
Well, I cannot speak about the cost, but I would easily guess that it's around between 20 to 30 million people will be impacted by if we do not take measures very seriously to counter the effects of the climate change.
I guess the next question that springs to mind is if there's 20 to 30 million people in Indonesia who are affected by this, are they conscious of the impacts of climate change? And I know that there's different parts of society. Is there activism within the country?
Mostly the people in the coastal areas who cannot go to sea because of the extreme weather. And the farmers who are living hand to mouth in the rural areas who cannot plant, and they are being paid by the day because of the changing weather, and because planting weather is not as it used to be. So it is the vulnerable peoples within Indonesia. It is impacted, but the elites are not. So that is, I try to give them a realization that everybody has to work together in this.
And of course, Indonesia's own emissions are relatively high due to deforestation. What measures is Indonesia taking to resolve this problem?
Well, we are aware of that. So just half a year ago, we have passed a law which is very strict in punishing those. In particular, the officials of the Indonesian government. It is because they are part of the problem, not part of the solution. So, and that is taking place. So we are prosecuting the governorship and the regions who are giving permits to deforestation, which they used to. Now it is now gone. So, according to Chatham House studies, we have decreased by 60%, which is quite a large number of illegal logging. So we're going there.
So in kind of 20 years' time or 30 years' time, when many scientists are predicting that we will really start to see the impacts of climate change hitting people on a level that we haven't even yet so far, what kind of future do you envisage for Indonesia? Do you think that we will have made the necessary steps in order to guarantee the safety of these islands and the peoples in coastal areas?
But I would kind of give exception to the 20, 30 years. It is much earlier than that, maybe 15 to 20 years. The coastal areas will be impacted. Most of the major cities along the coast of Java, consisting of around 50 to 60 million people, will have to move inwards, and that is devastating.
And you're talking in the next 10 to 15 years,
yes,
then? Where are you going to move 20 million people to?
Well, that is quite a problem. We have to have new laws enacting that those who are impacted by those can have to be taken care of by the state.
And we interviewed the president of the Maldives in Copenhagen, and I asked him a similar question. I said, if your land disappears, will you move somewhere else? What will you do?
Well, we are not that bad because we have so many islands. It is just a disruption of the way they are living. Because apart from Java, which is the most populous island, we have a very big island which is called Kalimantan or Borneo, as you know it. And in fact, now there is a thought to move the capital city to Palangkaraya, to Kalimantan, and there the Kalimantan is maybe 20 times Java with only 1/50th of the population.
So Indonesia is planning or preparing to move its capital city due to the impacts of climate change?
We are thinking about that. It has been all in the discussion in the parliament as well as the papers.
Well, I think that's quite an interesting note to...
Yeah, we appreciate the dangers of climate change and the difficulty of maintaining life as it is if we don't recognize the dangers. So we are trying to get to grips to the problem.
Okay, well, thank you very much for joining us, Rachmat. It's been really interesting talking to you, and hopefully we'll be able to catch up with you later in the week as well.
Okay, thank you, Adam.
Thank you very much.
Interesting to talk to you.
Thank you.